Namo Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Pushtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunyavari Pashtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, so it said patience is a virtue. Gonna have to be this evening because now everything's different. I don't want to press share and nothing's coming up. Documents advanced.
You got new computer?
I've got new screen because it broke and everything's coming up differently.
Good job, it's not me.
Yeah.
I would freak out.
Screens. So what do you see now?
Nothing apart from you.
Nothing apart from me. Oh God, don't want to see that.
No, Nishingadev.
Oh yeah, you can see. Here comes. Hare Krishna Mavasahachari. Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Again, we just congratulated you without your absence, but now you're here. We congratulate you again on taking second initiation.
Thank you, Murthy.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Please
Hare
give me your
Krishna,
blessings.
Haribol. Okay, I'm not going to give up. Why is it not showing? Nothing's showing here. Layouts. It's no share. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's not coming up. So does everyone have a copy of Bhagavad Gita? We might have to go like that, unfortunately. Does anyone not have access to Bhagavad Gita? Okay, no one's unmuting and saying no. So I presume you do have okay. So Hare Krishna. So I try and get it fixed before tomorrow. I'll try and work this out before tomorrow. I don't want to waste any of our precious time. So we're on chapter 12, which is entitled Devotional Service. And today we're picking up on text 30. Okay, so I'm scrolling through here on because I can see my one on my computer.
Is it text
Okay,
13? Is it text 13?
13 and 14.
Yeah, 13. Yeah, it's 13 and 4. Well, they're all wonderful verses, but specifically here, these verses are speaking about the qualities of a bhakta, which is mentioned in more than one place in the Bhagavad Gita. But here, sometimes these verses are overlooked when we're speaking about the qualities of devotion. So we've just been speaking. Well, Krishna's just been speaking. First, he opened up, or this chapter was opened up with the discussion on which is the preferred path, the path of worshipping Krishna in an impersonal way, or the path of devotion. So obviously, the path of devotion was spoken of as being the best in Krishna's opinion. And then it was discussed. It was after that. It was discussed the principle of bhakti, which means engaging all the mind and intelligence in Krishna. And then Krishna speaks some encouraging verses for perhaps we may not be spontaneously attached to absorbing our mind intelligence in Krishna. So then we follow the path which we're following of Vaidhi Bhakti. And anyone can remember, if you can't do that, then at least you can try to work for Krishna. Yeah. Every endeavor takes some capital, Prabhupada explains in the purport. And if you can't work for Krishna, at least be charitable somewhere, somehow, and engage in some selfless activity, because that will put you in good stead for some point in the future taken up bhakti, which is the ultimate in selflessness. And then if you can't do that, at least engage in some type of meditation. Yeah. So here, I'm saying here, you can't see it. Text 12. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. Better than meditation. Then he goes back. Yeah, this here when it says better than meditation is renunciation, Krishna's going back to the principle of renunciation being better than mere meditation. Yeah. So renunciation is better than actual meditation. Right? And then we come finally to text 12 and 13. Okay. So Mother Sahachari, you like to read these verses? You had your hand up, unless that
Yes,
was...
please.
Yeah.
Text 13 and 14.
Yeah.
Advesta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna eva cha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukha asmi santushta satatam yogi yatatma dida nischaya mayarpita manobuddhir yo madbhakta same priya. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Purport. Coming again to the point of pure devotional service, the Lord is describing the transcendental qualifications of a pure devotee in these two verses. A pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone, nor does a devotee become his enemy's enemy. He thinks, this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past misdeeds. So it is better to suffer than to protest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, it is stated, Tatte anukampaya su samikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakaham. Whenever a devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far, far better than I am suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishment I am due. I am just getting a little. By the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is always calm, quiet, and patient despite many distressful conditions. A devotee is always kind to everyone, even to his enemy. Nirmama means that a devotee does not attach much importance to the pains and troubles pertaining to the body because he knows perfectly well that he is not the material body. He does not identify with the body. Therefore, he is freed from the conception of false ego and is equipoised in happiness and distress. He is tolerant and he is satisfied with whatever comes by the grace of the Supreme Lord. He does not endeavor much to achieve something with great difficulty. Therefore, he is always joyful. He is a completely perfect mystic because he is fixed in the instructions received from the spiritual master, and because his senses are controlled, he is determined. He is not swayed by false arguments because no one can lead him from the fixed determination of devotional service. He is fully conscious that Krishna is the eternal Lord, so no one can disturb him. All these qualifications enable him to fix his mind and intelligence entirely on the Supreme Lord. Such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare. But a devotee becomes situated in that stage by following the regulative principles of devotional service. Furthermore, the Lord says that such a devotee is very dear to him, for the Lord is always pleased with his activities in full Krishna consciousness. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Noah. Very nice reading. So any immediate questions here? I was thinking what you might do is you could write these qualities out and put them in the mirror in the bathroom. So first thing you wake up and you look at these qualities and we can hear about them. And even hearing about them is attractive. Yeah? And hear about them and we can aspire for them and try our best to develop them, you know. So again, these symptoms will come as one progresses in the practice of pure devotional service. So as the heart becomes purified, then these qualities, which are part and parcel of a pure soul, then they will become manifest. But during the interim, we would want to try to develop these qualities. Yeah, described here. I keep saying here, you can't see, but the last line of the verse, this is and these verses end with this, that such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Yeah. So the first one is Advaita Sarvabhutanam. It's not envious, but it's a kind friend to all living entities. Okay. So not think himself a proprietor. Yeah. We do not own anything in this world. Yeah. Let's look here. Yeah, so coming again to the point of pure devotional service. So again, Krishna's picking up on actual devotional service. Yeah. It's better to suffer than to protest. How's everyone feel with that? It's okay?
Thing is,
sorry?
thing is, when you're reading it and when you're digesting it, yes, everything's fine. And when you're going through an issue or something, yes, these things come out and why me? Why not? You know, he said this, she did this, he did that, you know. And you have to then try and get that mind to change its consciousness, you know. And I find like, right, things come up and my mind's thinking something else, has thought something else. And then I find out that it's not what the mind was thinking. I'm realizing how my mind is so bad. You know,
Yeah.
my mind, see, you said this. Now I'm not listening to you in anything. So now I'm trying to say to my mind, it comes up with something, I say, I'm not listening to you. Remember how many times you did that to me? I don't know.
I think I understand what you said there. Yeah. So this will be how a pure soul would generally react in a difficult situation. Yeah. They would rather
how to be self-controlled. The rest we can understand, self-controlled.
It says that he has sent happiness and stress who's self-controlled. Well, Prabhupada, I guess, let's look in the purple. You say how to be...
Yatatma is self-controlled.
Yeah. Well, we have our regulative principles. That's a big aspect of being self-controlled. But then it also means you could take it further. Being self-controlled means to be free of the influence of envy, anger, etc., like that.
Okay.
Self-control, yeah, one who's tolerant always. Yeah, and then Prabhupada, he quotes this verse, which hopefully we're familiar with. Tatena kompom shikshramano bunjana evatman kritam pipagam. Anyone can say who is reciting this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam? It's Lord Brahma. Yeah, Lord Brahma. So this Tatena Kompom Shikshramano. So devotee, again, I read this part again. Whenever devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, due to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far, far greater than I am suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishments I am due. I'm just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so therefore he's always calm, quiet, and patient despite many distressful conditions. Well, there's lots of devotees coming in. Hare Krishna. Okay, my screen's all strange today. Okay, yeah, that's what yeah.
Murli Prabhu.
Yeah.
So there is a situation, if it's not favorable and you're not vocal, I understand we have to tolerate and all of that, but what happens is you end up feeling ill, because what happens is you're swallowing whatever that is not this thing, and you're not either communicating or whatever. The downside of that is, because you're in that situation where you have not put your boundaries or you have not expressed what is, I understand tolerance, and I totally agree with that. But there is another aspect to it. When you're not tolerant and you're swallowing it, it manifests as illness in your body, because you're holding on to that emotion in whatever way. You're saying, yes, it is my karma, I'm going through all of that and all, but then you fall sick.
Yeah, it can have yeah, it can be.
It affects your this thing, because I know this is the thin line, and this is what I want to understand. So there is a situation that is not, and you're coming out and saying, look, I'm not happy in this situation, or this is not how I would go. And the border, you're establishing your boundaries, you're saying you're trespassed, whatever that situation is. And it may not sound humble because you're coming up and saying what you want rather than tolerating it. But if you don't do that, you are killing yourself inside.
Yeah, I mean, I was highlighting this specifically because I was waiting for this question.
Can
Yes,
I say something, Prue? I was just thinking about that comment. I was thinking that really, if you are thinking about it in terms of Shastra, and if you're approaching it in the way that etiquette is supposed to be done, then Krishna will protect you, whatever you have to say, if it's the truth. We don't need to feel guilty about it or feel like we have offended anyone, because if we are sincere about like saying something in regards to like Shastra, or if somebody is like not, if you're like, if you have something to say to somebody that you think may offend them, but if you're following Shastra and you are following etiquette, then I think, you can let go of the like guilt or the bad feeling that you have about saying something. If you're doing it in the proper way,
Yeah.
you'll take care.
Yeah, if you're generally not envious of the person, and you're generally a well-wisher of that person, then those feelings will come out in your words when you say it. Generally, and that's the message they will get. But so it's a very good point.
But then not necessarily. So although that is it, the ego is there. The ego
Yeah,
is,
so that's the second part I was in answer to your specific question. If in the purple, Prabhupada does say at the end of the purple, it does say here, such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare, right? But a devotee becomes situated in that stage by following the regular principles of devotional service. So what's being explained here, as Prabhupada's purports often do, they're explained. He's speaking from the perspective of a pure soul. This is how they think. This is how they may react. spontaneously, they will act in this way and come to this conclusion. Actually, my Lord, I deserve a lot worse. Now, we may, as you're explaining this, Dharma Radhika, we may find ourselves personally perhaps not able to do this. And as you
That's aspirational. That's
yeah,
aspirational. That is where we want to be. But at this point, that's not how you're feeling. And you have
yeah,
to be honest with how you feel, isn't it?
yeah. So this is the point. Because I asked a similar question to this in Prahlad was giving class. You know, Prahlad
Yes, yes, Prahlad.
was
Very
giving class, and I asked him basically the same, this more or less this same question, and he said, "Well, if it's natural for you to act in this way, then yes, that's good. But if you find you're harboring, you'll find you cannot just let it go, you know, then you might have to go about it a different way." And I think the points that you mentioned here, Madhusudami Radhika, is that you may have to address it. You know, you may have to, what's the word? You may have to have a mediation to actually, let's say, to a kind of mediation, if you want to, in order to clear the air rather than harbor discontent. Yeah, because it's not good for our devotional
And
practice.
also, sometimes you get resentful as well. You know,
Yeah, that's another word. Then it becomes
you're
resentful.
doing something, you're doing something, you're doing something, and then you're saying, "Oh, my karma," but you're doing, and your cup is not, it's empty. You can't give anymore, and as a consequence, you become resentful.
Yeah, so that's what happen to us conditioned souls, you know. This will be conditioned. So then we should go about it as think Mother Navanga Latika was kind of saying in connection with that we should go about it in a sattvic way. Yeah, we should go about it in a it's getting a bit complicated here, I think, but we should go about these things in a sattvic way if we're in a difficulty with someone or a devotee, and again, I mentioned it's a big subject amongst devotees. It seems to be of late. Perhaps I'm just being more exposed to it. So I watched a wonderful seminar by Radhika Raman Prabhu that he gave in Radhadesh. I think someone here put me onto it. Mahalavanga Latika, I think she put me, or someone here. Oh no, it's anyway, Shamananda, a devotee friend of mine. And I watched that, and he speaks very brilliantly about the process of forgiveness and the type of mindset that we should have as devotees in being able to forgive, even if we've been hurt or even if we've been mistreated. And he uses different examples from
Forgiveness, I totally agree. Because forgiveness, even not for anybody, for your own self is good. Because if you're holding that thing, then it becomes toxic within you. And then you have to take another birth to sort of learn that lesson. So I totally agree with forgiveness. Forgiveness is
Yeah,
even if it's not for the other person, for your own sanity, it's better to forgive. So there's no issue with forgiveness.
yeah.
The issue
No,
is
yeah,
speaking
go on.
your mind. And sometimes that may not be conducive, or people may not be approval of it, or that
But
is
you should try. Yeah, no doubt. But we really want to the austerity of speech is trying to, we don't want to cause unnecessary disturbance.
true.
So we want to speak in such a way that it's going to be not create agitation. Except, if you're giving a class and there's a my body in a class, then you're going to just give the philosophy, so to speak. But it is a fact, having said all of that, if one is able to do this, it is a fact that if one is able to, see it as it is, you could try it as well. You can see it, any difficulty that you are in, then you understand it to be, according to this verse, being caused by your own previous sinful activities. And you're find you'll be able to sit with it, you'll be able to deal with it a lot better. You know, it's a fact if you applied this principle, because that's the absolute truth, so to speak, and you're taking shelter of the absolute truth. You are in that situation by the arrangement ultimately of Krishna. Yeah. And so there is a lesson to be learned. So we can take full shelter of this principle. But I'm saying it's not always easy. So we may have to acknowledge some hurt, and there may be ways that we can, there may be ways that we can deal with this situation that will help us to come to terms with it, rather than, as you mentioned, harboring it and then coming to a point of being, what's the word? Being
resentful.
Yeah, resentful. And that's not good when we sit down to chant japa. It won't. Yeah.
Can you quickly let Nita Mata in again? Please.
No, I'm in, Mother. No, I'm in.
Yeah, I just let him in.
In love, okay.
All right, so that's always that always comes up when that's why I kind of was bringing this verse out, because I was waiting for someone to ask the question. Oh yeah, okay, it sounds so easy, but when you're actually going through it. But here it is. This is how we would want to, this is how we would hopefully, this is what we aspire to. You know, we can hopefully and remain always calm, quiet, and patient, despite many distressful conditions. All right. Now, having said that, all devotees, devotees, they're not just like robots, you know, they do have feelings. So you're gonna see it sometimes. Prabhupada would sometimes get very, very angry with his disciples. And Prabhupada would sometimes not be calm and not be quiet and not be patient. But he had it for a pure devotional purpose. But sometimes Prabhupada had challenges and he would become very disturbed. You know, very disturbed. And we have examples in the Bhagavatam. We even think there's the Dhruva Maharaj, when his brother Utkal, I think his name, was killed by the Yakshashas, I think. Then he got so angry, he killed thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these yakshas. Yeah. And he was a pure devotee. This is Dhruva Maharaj. This is Dhruva, who had already took darshan of Krishna. And Lord Brahma had to come down and tell him, all right, cool it. Right, you've got, you know. And Prabhupada in the purport said that, he says there, just paraphrasing it, he said, it is a mistake to think that devotees don't get angry. Sometimes they do. But the general disposition of a devotee is going to be calm, quiet, and patient, even in distressful conditions, because of their meditation upon Krishna. But there may be some situations. Anyway, am I making any sense of all of any questions, any further comments or questions?
Even Parshuram, he did that, isn't it? He killed all the Brahmanas.
As Parshuram, then you have Hanuman.
Hanuman.
Then you have so many examples. So time, place, and circumstance. But this is the general disposition of a devotee and the symptoms of a pure-hearted person. They're going not to blame the person. They're going to pray to Krishna. Oh my Lord, I deserve a lot worse than this. Yeah. So we can meditate upon that. Anything else here?
I was thinking, in time, you then realize that, why am I wasting time with this? You know,
Yeah, you kind of, yeah.
I can just concentrate on my chanting, and like in all circumstances, chanting. So that will just counter. It's not that it's going to go away, but you come to a higher taste, higher thinking. That okay, why waste time? Why am I wasting time with this? You know, and things that can change anywhere.
I also notice that the mind likes to sort of, have fun with it. Like, especially when you're sitting for chanting, it just likes to loathe over it. No matter, I don't know what is it about the mind. It just loves it. Just loves it.
That's why, but Mother Chandravali is bringing up an important point here. Now, when there's taste, if you have taste for the holy name, then you won't really have to go to a japa retreat, because you're naturally just attracted. There's a natural attraction there. So I think Chandravali is probably speaking from experience. She's probably been in difficult situations, difficult things going on. But if you can climb upon the car, if you want, or climb upon the chariot of the higher taste, then it's just going to fall off like a water falling off a duck's back. You get such a taste from Krishna, such a taste from the holy name, that really it's all very insignificant. And what am I so worried about? Let me just be absorbed in the holy name. And it's quite amazing that to that degree you don't have taste, and then to that degree your mind's gonna be going this and that. You're gonna be kind of thinking negatively, but that degree you have taste. Then to
And
that degree,
it flips. The switch sort of over, and then suddenly it seems insignificant.
that's the param drishtunabhatate. Yeah. But again, where it's easier said than done. We've all got experience of this. I'm sure sometimes there might be some point in time where we have a taste, and then 2 months later we don't have a taste. If we're practicing it, Anyway, Hare Krishna.
It's like in every
We're practicing unsteady.
we're going through, when you go from one stage to another, you go in between, you're going up and down, up and down. So that's what we're doing. We're going up and down, up and down. Then we'll move up a ladder. We'll be steady there. To go to the third step, we'll still be going up and down with our thoughts, mind, whatever. Till we carry on. So we just got to work with our feelings and dealings with our mind, like I said earlier, you have to work your mind out and say, right, and point it out to it. Well, you made a mistake there, you made a mistake there. So why should I listen to you now? Keep talking to your mind and figure out all the mistake it makes, for you.
So again, this is what's going to attract Krishna to the devotee. It's these qualities. Yeah, it's these qualities you're gonna attract Krishna's attention. Yeah, and you can be very dear. It says Krishna, that person has these qualities, is very dear to me. Priya, your mat bhakta, that my bhakta, same priyaha, is very dear to me. So there's more to come. Now the next verse is one that this verse kind of amazes me so much. I actually learned this verse, and I actually learned this chapter, but forgot a few slokas now. But this verse, I made a point of learning it with this next verse because it's very intriguing. All right, someone would like to read text 15? Is that right? Yeah, 15.
Are you sharing the screen? Are you?
Oh, so let me try again. There's something happened to my computer. I had to get a new computer screen, and now nothing's working properly. So that's why.
If you give me access, I can share the screen, if that helps.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, then you can share your screen. Yeah, fantastic. I didn't think of that. Now let's see if I can do that.
Where are we? Chapter?
Chapter 12.
Yeah, text.
15.
Text 15. Now, got 1 second. Make co-host. Make co-host. So yeah, you can share your screen now. Great. Thank you.
Okay, so let's do that. A minute. I find where do I share. Got it.
Great. You both can see it now.
Can you see it? Let me know when you can.
Yes, great. Can see. It's a bit small. Writing's a bit small.
I can make it bigger. Let me do it.
And it's in Dutch. Yeah, not in English.
No, this is in English.
Well,
oh yeah, you're right.
It's in Dutch.
So sorry. Let's find one in English.
Oh, you recognize Dutch, mother? You speak Dutch?
Yeah, I don't know how it went to.
I used to study it, yes.
Oh, there you go. Hare Krishna.
Let's have a look. No, that's strange. That's the first time I've seen it in. Oh,
Dutch.
not what you want. Sorry about this. 1 second. I'll just get that in English now. All coming in Dutch. Oh, I can change it here. There.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's it. All I needed was to just change it there. That's better.
Okay, someone could read this verse. 12, 15.
May I?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. He by whom no one is put
The
into
Sanskrit,
difficulty.
mother, if you can.
Okay, yes.
Do your best.
Yasman nadvijate lako lokan nadvijate chayaha harsha marsha kayo dvegeir mukto yahsa chame priyaham. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. Purport. A few of devotees' qualifications are further being described. No one is put into difficulty, anxiety, fearfulness, or dissatisfaction by such a devotee. Since a devotee is kind to everyone, he does not act in such a way as to put others into anxiety. At the same time, if others try to put a devotee into anxiety, he is not disturbed. It is by the grace of the Lord that he is so practiced that he is not disturbed by any outward disturbance. Actually, because a devotee is always engrossed in Krishna consciousness and engaged in devotional service, such material circumstances cannot move him. Generally, a materialistic person becomes very happy when there is something for his sense gratification and his body. But when he sees that others have something for their sense gratification and he hasn't, he is sorry and envious. When he is expecting some retaliation from an enemy, he is in a state of fear, and when he cannot successfully execute something, he becomes dejected. A devotee who is always transcendental to all these disturbances is very dear to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So more qualification. You want to be dear to Krishna. It's here. So any questions or comments?
So
Hare
here,
Krishna Prabhu. Oh, sorry.
Right.
yeah, carry on.
Go ahead, Nitai Mata.
I was thinking of this is about Kunti Devi.
Go on. Expand more.
I was saying Kunti Devi. This purport is really referring to Kunti Devi, I felt, because so much of all disturbances, but Kunti Devi kept on asking for more, but this is more than this purport. Actually, she was never disturbed.
Yeah, that's a very. What's the verse? Do you know the verse you're referring to? I didn't know it. It's this. Yeah, the verse describes that basically Queen Kunti's whenever she's in difficulty, then she thinks of Krishna. Becomes so. Therefore, she wishes more difficulties to come again and again. Vipadu Tursha Shasvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavatu Dasanam Satshat Apurna Bhava Darshanam. Yeah, Queen Kunti. She was specifically blessed because, well, she even, she was, or the Pandavas were blessed because they was blessed because they was, as we know, put into lots of trying and difficult situations. But then Krishna would come and give them solace and give them solace, and when he would come, they just by seeing Krishna's beautiful form, having Krishna's darshan, his beautiful lotus face, his lotus eyes, and his beautiful and his words, and just by being in the presence of Krishna, all their anxieties and everything they went through would melt into insignificance. So in that way, she was praying, my Krishna, please let these anxieties come, because whenever they come, then you come. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mother Nitai Mata, for bringing that out. So Queen Kunti. Yes, Mother Sudami Radhika, did you have a
I was saying, I was contemplating in forwarding from the previous verse. I think the litmus test here is to check when we get angry or when we're getting upset or when we want to commit. Is this coming from a place of sense gratification for your settled senses or for your body or whatever? Then it's there. But if it is not, then I think it's fair to say what you have to say.
Depends on the circumstances, but generally, yeah, if it's coming, generally it's going to come from full ego.
Yeah, it's coming from ego, but then maybe we can try to reflect and say, is this what I'm having or where I'm expressing? What is it coming from my own whatever, or is it that can I be neutral about it? So that is, if it is sense gratification and it is for the body, then yes, this is time for correction, internal correction, and maybe tolerance and patience then. But if not, then maybe it's time, to be vocal about it.
Yeah, again, it depends on the specific circumstance, a particular time, place, some circumstance. It might well be a circumstance where, in order to help the devotee or to help the situation, you kind of have to speak up. Yeah. But the general, yeah. I remember my spiritual master one time, sometimes, spiritual masters have to sometimes deal with difficult disciples. And sometimes even it's not as so uncommon as you might think, but sometimes disciples turn against spiritual masters in a very serious way. And I remember, I won't go into details, but my spiritual master, one time he was being harassed in such a intense way by one Mataji who was demanding his attention to the point of becoming angry. She was quite very much disturbed by various things that had happened, and she used to what's the word? She would harass and pursue him. It was quite intense. It was quite intense. So I don't know if this example is helping, but just in that specific situation, my Guru Maharaj had to lay it down on the line. You keep away from me. In a Krishna conscious way, he was quite serious about it, and he had to draw boundaries. He had to create boundaries in order for this disciple who'd gone a bit wayward in one sense, in order for her own spiritual well-being, standing in spiritual life, he had to draw a line, and he didn't want to speak with her. He didn't want to see her for some time, and she had to back off completely. And that's what he had to do. So he had to draw the line as someone who's in a superior position to someone who is a dependent. Just like parents have to draw the line with their children at some point. They don't tolerate everything that the children do. They tolerate a lot, but there's a certain line, there's a certain boundary that, if not brought up or not spoken of, it's going to create untold disturbance, and it's not going to be good for the dependent. You understand?
Yeah.
So sometimes we do have to draw that line. I remember I going back to draw the line, and now this, and she got the message eventually, and she stopped, and she's still situated as a disciple. So she managed, she got through it. Quite a bit of a graphic example. But the point, I guess we can look at it like this from point of the relationship of the children with the parents. So if you're in a superior of your senior and you've got dependents, then you do have to draw the line. It's not just you tolerate, because it says in Bhagavad Gita, you know, if the children do this, then you shouldn't get into. Anyway, I think you get the point, yeah. But here, this part here, this is what this part here, but he by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, right? So that's a bit of a test, yeah. If not, has anyone ever been disturbed by someone?
Ask the other question. Has anybody
Yeah.
not been disturbed by anybody?
Yeah, has anyone not been disturbed? Has anyone not been put into difficulty and is not disturbed by anyone? So again, Prabhupada, the last one, he says, this is the symptoms of a
Uttamadhikari.
you could say an advanced soul. They're not disturbed by anyone. Who's an example? Where can we give the quite graphic example?
Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur. Yeah, there's more examples in the Bhagavatam as well. Haridas Thakur.
Parikshit Maharaj, when he was told that he's going to die.
Parikshit Maharaj, yes.
And the snake was when he said he's going to die, he was saying, no problem.
Yeah, and he saw it. He said, Tatena kompum shikshramano. Due to my own misdeeds, and so I deserve this. This is the Lord's kindness. Yeah, we're going to see what other examples in Bhagavatam to match these last couple of verses.
Ambarish Maharaj.
Ambarish Maharaj, another one.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Yeah, Ambarish, he was completely
break the fast, wasn't it?
He was completely innocent. He had done nothing wrong. You know, and he didn't feel any animosity towards Devasa. And then is it Sarchari just mentioned Prahlad? My God, just picture what he went
That's
through.
a different story. Prahlad is a young boy, so it's a little bit more, you know. I feel like there is still innocence.
Yeah, in one sense, but still, he's praying. When the Lord offered him benedictions, then Prahlad prayed that his father be liberated.
That is valid.
Yeah. Also, we have the example of Jada Bharat, when he's been ill-treated by his brothers, and when he didn't even complain or protest when the worshippers of Bhadrakali wanted to sacrifice him on a sacrificial altar. He didn't complain. You know, he was. What other examples?
So many there are.
The Pandavas themselves. The Pandavas, although there was, Yudhisthira Maharaj had to preach to the other Pandavas, but generally they, they were patient and they tolerated the situation.
There's another.
But then they put the situation right.
There's another pastime where I can't remember the exact thing, where a Muni stands on Vishnu's feet, takes his feet and put it on his chest, and Vishnu massages his feet and says, "I hope it didn't hurt you." I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyone know that story?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the name of that story? Yeah, someone know that's Chandravali? You can tell us that story.
Was to find out who is the topmost, and then he goes to Lord Shiva, he goes to Lord Brahma, then he goes to Vishnu, and that's where he kicks him on the chest.
Yeah. So what's the name of that devotee? He wanted to see who is the supreme, so he...
Bhrigu Muni.
Bhrigu Muni, that's it, Bhrigu Muni. Yeah. So he has a relationship with Brahma and Shiva. They're born from the same source. Yeah. So when he went to, get this right, first he went to Brahma. Yeah. And what did he do to Brahma? Then he
didn't pay obeisances.
He didn't pay obeisances, although Brahma is his elder.
Yeah.
Perhaps even he's his father. I think he was born from Brahma.
Father.
Yeah. And Brahma became enraged with anger, but I think his wife pacified him, isn't it? He became pacified. Something. Then he went to Shiva, and he yeah, and he actually, yeah, the first one was just with the body. The second one, he just actually started to blaspheme Shiva. You don't come and embrace me. Look at the state of you. You know, we don't. You covered in ashes, and you're impure, and this and that. Then Lord Shiva became, you know, anger pulsated through his body, and he's just about to curse and destroy Bhrigu Muni. But then I think Mother Parvati came and pacified him. And then the next one was the next level up, where he actually committed physically attacked Shiva by kicking him in the chest.
Not Shiva, Vishnu.
Vishnu. So yeah, he kicked Vishnu in the chest. So the first one was just by, he didn't say anything, just by not paying obeisances. The second one was through words. And the third one was actual physically kicking Vishnu. So the others had failed the test. And Vishnu, he was, oh, my dear Brahmana, my chest is so hard. Surely your feet are so soft and you've kicked my chest. Please forgive me. How can I serve you? Make a good play, no? So yeah, so there's another example. So we do see examples. So we're reading these verses and we're reading this very high level, but we can high level of devotion, but it's all over the Bhagavatam.
There's another person I remember where the Lord puts his leg on his head, and he says he asks for three piece of land, which is
Vamanadev.
Vamanadev. What is the demon's name?
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj.
And
again.
Shukracharya was his guru.
Yeah.
And Vamana came.
And again, same thing. And he says, you can put it on my head, where he's been sort of asked, and then he gives his head as a token of. But again, in this situation, he's not enraged. He's not enraging him. But again, it's showing that, you know, it's okay. I can.
Yeah, he took everything. Vamanadev took everything from Bali. And he remained calm, peaceful, and equipoised.
There's one more. I'm going on a rant. There's another one where his whole kingdom gets burnt away, and he remains completely equipoised. And
that's king. I read it as Dasarath.
Yes. Or was Janak Maharaj.
Janak Maharaj, and he said this verse. He said, he was completely renounced. He said, I have nothing.
Yeah.
I have nothing, and my whole kingdom. I have nothing, and I own nothing.
Yeah.
My whole kingdom's been burnt down, and I still have nothing, and I own nothing. Anyway, like that. Right, let's have yeah. There's so much here in this purple. There's so much again. But when he sees that others have something for their sense gratification and he hasn't, yeah, this is an envious person. They're sorry and they're envious. Yeah. All right, what's the time? 58.
You know, I was just quickly thinking how
Let's just stop there.
Mercy of devotees, Krishna's mercy and devotees' mercy to make progress. And I always think here, Krishna everywhere is saying, Same Priya, you know, priya to him. So we just have to keep reading and learning these purports and whatever verses I can't learn, but translations and purports, and try hard to put them into practice.
Yeah, this is how one becomes a pure devotee. You have to hear about pure devotees. You only hear about them, and you become inspired. And even just by hearing about it, even unconsciously, you're going to advance along this path. You know, just by hearing about these qualities, then that in of itself is going to invest those qualities within our own hearts. just by hearing about it and aspiring for it, you know?
Aspiring for it.
Yeah, so that this is a principle of association. You know, if you associate with devotees who do have these qualities, then also by dint of sangha, by dint of that association, you will also imbibe these qualities.
Very true. I remember, you know, when you go speak to a friend, like in an office situation or something that has not been right, for example, you go speak to the colleague will say, oh, how dare they treat you? You have to go to the law, you have to go to HR, you have to, you know, don't let it bias. That will be the kind of advice they would give you, you know. Don't take it this thing, you know, go, you have a legal system in place, blah, blah, blah. They will advise you for your well-being to go and make. And then if you the same thing you speak to a devotee of the similar situation, they will quote all these wonderful you know, examples of these you know, great personalities of what challenges they have gone, and suddenly your problem looks minuscule in front of those great personalities and their problems and how they dealt with it. And then
Yeah.
suddenly you have this empowerment or the strength to go through whatever you're going through because of those great devotees of how they have gone through what, and you think your problem is nothing and compared to them, and look how what they have done, you know.
Yeah, it can become, there is situations in our society where devotees become so embittered and so taking it personally that then they take ISKCON to court. They take those court cases that manifest, and the amount of anxiety they actually go through.
Yeah, true.
Trying to uphold their position.
Yeah.
Literally, it engulfs their whole spiritual.
Energy is consumed. Yeah, energy is consumed.
That's the word. It's consumed. So, but if you can just follow this principle, Tatena Kompom Shishikshamanan, and take shelter to holy name, and be inspired by these qualities and by the devotees in the Bhagavatam, and also the devotees, the contemporary devotees.
I remember
Devotees
asking
can save
Jayadvaita
ourselves.
Maharaj in a festival, he was giving a class, and I said, Maharaj, you know, one small festival, we are so exhausted. I was, you know, a whole night I'd done service, and I was sitting right under him, and I was falling asleep. And I said, Maharaj, I came all the way to listen to your class, but I can't help falling asleep. I'm falling asleep. How do people do service? You know, how do those great souls do so much service? And Maharaj said, from his side, he said, I look at the demigods, look at what Brahma is doing, what Surya Dev is doing, what sort of service they are doing. In front of that, what I do is minuscule. And so then I get empowered to do service. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. What service are we doing compared to creating universes by like a Lord Brahma? All right, let's pause there. Wonderful discussion today. Got through a couple of verses, and hopefully I'll fix things up for tomorrow. So let's just continue tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be on text 16. Yeah. Okay, thank you, devotees. Thank you for joining us. Sorry about the hiccup in the beginning. I'm just trying to, you know, got a few computer problems. But thank you everyone for attending. Hopefully got inspired. So here you go. Here's the test. So get ready for tomorrow, the different challenges you'll face, and see how we come up to the mark. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.